My hands stable, I feel able to turn the tables. I could do this, just keep moving, keep your hands up, stupid. I feel lucid, a new viewing. I can see the end, I can see my future, I can view it. It's right there for the taking. Everything I've ever wanted, dreams are just waiting. I just gotta fight for it, willing to die for it, willing to like soreness.
Hey, greetings from the year 3000, it still sucks. This is Phil J. Price, and you're listening to The Drunken Turkey Show, your one-stop for this sort of thing. Hit that button, like and subscribe. You know what to do, just like every other podcast.
Just like every other podcast. What is up, everybody? Sorry, it's been a few days since I've been on the show. Had a few things going on this weekend. Actually was not even sure I was going to make it today, but my work schedule kind of shifted around, so it made it a possibility so that I could be here this evening. And I'm glad that I could, because it's an important day for the show and also for one of the cases that we covered. Sorry about this, guys. I have my fan turn off on me. There we go. It's a little warm out here in Texas, so forgive me. But it's an important day. It's a birthday for the show. The Drunk Turkey Show officially hits 4 years old today. That is wild. You know, we started this venture, my buddy Jaime, Blue, myself, we started this venture, the Drunk Turkey Show. You know, I miss those guys on the show. I still talk to Jaime quite a bit. I've talked to Blue here recently. He's doing well, but the man is working like 90 something hours a week. It's insane. But he's doing what he's got to do. And so, you know, schedules kind of made things a little bit more difficult for all of us to be back on here as often, but they still come on when they can. And so I anticipate they'll be on in the future. But you know, we'll talk about the Drunk Turkey Show here in a little bit, and the 4-year birthday or 4-year anniversary. It's wild how long it's been. Thank you guys. You know, first, let me stop and say that first. Thank you guys, because without you guys, we wouldn't be here. You know, and so I want to say thank you to everybody that's been here tonight. And also, before we get into today's conversation, I have it pinned in the comments section. We have my wife. She had her first video that she dropped. It's here. It's called I Can't Believe They Made These Mini Brands Vinyl Edition. Go check it out. It's linked in the description. Also, if you're watching this on the replay crew, I'm super proud of her and the work she did on this. Like, she did amazing. It's her first video that she's ever done. It's on a channel called Married to the Hobby. And we'd appreciate if you go and subscribe. But if you go watch, that'd be great. I'm trying to get that video up to at least 1,000 views. That would be amazing if we could do that. She deserves it. And so go check that out. If you like these mini brand things, she opens them up on the channel. These little things here, you guys won't be disappointed. So go check that out. Little shameless plug for her. All right. And so without further ado, let's get into the other birthday, and probably the more important birthday today. And that's Kaylee Jade Goncalves. She was a victim of a senseless crime. Her killer is serving 4 sentences, back to back, 4 life sentences without the possibility of parole. Brian Koberger sits behind bars and will sit behind bars until the day he dies. And so in a sense, although maybe perhaps it didn't come down to, like, you know, my shirt says the Idaho Bill 37, you know, it didn't come down to that, but in the end, he will die in prison. And, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, his decisions in this case had kind of worked backwards for him. You know, just a little bit real quick on that, like his choice to waive the speedy trial, his choice to move from Moscow to Boise, and maybe perhaps even this one of taking a plea deal. maybe result in a situation where if he ends up in general population ever, he may end up having a lighter or a less, not a lighter, but a lesser sentence per se as far as time goes than he would have had he been by himself on death row. Food for thought. But this today's not about Brian Koberger. Today's about Kaylee Jade. And we got a couple of things that we're going to be going into. And then in the second half of the show, we're going to be talking about the Drunk Turkey Show and looking back at a few things in the past. But this was shared to me by Kaylee Goncalves, Kaylee's mom. And she asked me if I could share this with you guys. And so I said, of course. So this is honoring Kaylee, continuing her legacy, the Kaylee Goncalves Foundation. Murder Has a Name. And there's a website. It's called murderhasaname.com. Mods, if you don't mind, if you guys would put it in the chat. It's a website. You can see what they're doing as far as their foundation goes. It's essentially to, and we're going to go through their website as well, but it's essentially to help out with like DNA and forensics and helping out these different labs. So that way we can stop with these unsolved cases and stuff like that. So that way, I mean, if you reflect back, it was a very long time between the time that, between the time that November 13th occurred and the time that Brian Koberger was apprehended. I mean, we all may talk and say, it was only 7-8 weeks. In retrospect, when you look at some of these other, cases that may have taken longer, it wasn't a long time, but you're not the person living that nightmare, right? You're not the person in that time frame and having to deal with that throughout that time. And then also having a police department who have, basically kind of turned their back on you in the essence where they're not giving up any information. They're publicly making statements that make it seem like they're, it make you question if they're on your side. You know what I'm saying? And not necessarily on the sense of that they don't want to catch, this person or the person that committed the crime, but in the sense where like you start getting treated in a certain manner. I mean, for God's sakes, it took them how long to get notified? In fact, they had to be notified by friends and family. Law enforcement, may have had their identity, may have known who they were, and yet still didn't reach out to them. It wouldn't have been difficult to have gotten their information to do so. These are college kids. Their information is at the college. You have access to law enforcement. You should have access to a lot of things. The address, the place you've been. There's been a lot of reports there, right? It shouldn't be very difficult to figure out, names and things that have been reported or documented, because every time there's a call, there is a document. You have to document everything that you do. And so it took them so long. And so, I understand why, they would put out a foundation like this to help get those answers a lot faster. Because, you look at some of these other cases, like the Nancy Guthrie case, where well over 100 days, and it don't appear that there's going to be, an answer soon, at least in my opinion. And I hope I'm wrong. I sure do, but I'm worried about that case. But let's go through this. Kaylee Jade Day, June 8th, one day, double the impact. On Kaylee's birthday, June 8th, the Kaylee Goncalves Foundation will match every dollar donated. So you donate $5, they'll match $5, so it's $10. In honor of Kaylee, we are committed to helping families find answers, supporting forensic innovation, and ensuring no victim is ever forgotten. Every name, every family, every answer, every answer matters. So here's a little QR code if you guys want to donate to the cause. Just snap a screenshot real quick of that, and the website right here, murderhasaname.com. Let's look at that real quick. I was looking at it earlier. It's pretty interesting. So Murder Has a Name. Our story, Murder Has a Name Foundation funds advanced forensic DNA testing and violent crimes and crime investigations in partnership with accredited laboratories such as Othram. We remove financial obstacles so cases can benefit from the most advanced forensic science available. Founded in honor of Kaylee Jade Goncalves, we exist to ensure that the murder that murder has a name. Our mission, we fund and advocate for the use of advanced forensic DNA technology in violent crime investigations by removing financial barriers. We help ensure cases can access modern forensic science capable of identifying perpetrators and delivering answers to families. Our impact through strategic funding and trusted partnership with accredited laboratories, we help advance DNA testings in cases that need it the most, supporting investigative breakthroughs and advancing in accountability. So forensic DNA funding, victim advocacy, and partnership and impact are the three things that they're really looking to lean into. And so, and you can go through this. It's pretty neat. I like this tree here with the fingerprints on the end. I like that logo. It's pretty neat. Why forensic matters. They're going to help to identify the unknown, reopen unsolved cases, and find answers. And this just kind of goes into, some, the ins and outs of why DNA is important and what it is that they do with DNA to find some answers. In this case here with Kaylee, how DNA helped there was that Brian Koberger left DNA on a knife sheath. And what made this DNA important, I know a lot of people look at, and maybe perhaps, why didn't they look at this DNA on the handrail? Why didn't they look at this over here or over there? And the answer truly and simply is one, and I mentioned, the time is of the essence. You had somebody here, if we would have looked at the evidence, there was audio from 50 feet away. You don't hear somebody going in there that sounds like they're losing it. It doesn't sound like a rage type of situation where somebody's upset because their girlfriend's leaving them or somebody is on steroids and they can't control themselves. You have a vehicle that's driving around multiple times. That's not, actions becoming of somebody who has lost control in that manner. And then you also have the fact that there's little DNA left behind. You have the fact that the perpetrator left every single door open behind them. To me, all these things screamed out a little bit of experience or training. Also, it screams out that this was probably something more fantasy motivated. And so versus like I was mentioning, rage and things of that nature. And so when you have that in front of you, and then you also have the fact that the house had some kids over the night before, right? There was a big party. There was evidence of that. You can see it in the pictures. There's beer pong. There's alcoholic beverages everywhere. It's a mess. There's no cleanup. I know some people say that there was some sort of, some people theorize that there was some sort of cleanup here. But there was absolutely none. And so you had the reminiscence of a party, and you had probably what was described as maybe perhaps 100 people that could have gone in and out of that house the night before. And then even Dylan mentions in their interviews that they hadn't cleaned up, or they had cleaned up like a couple of days earlier, but not recently, not that night before. And obviously you can see that in the pictures. And so that being said, you have an item that is brought in by the perpetrator, right? And there's a lot of DNA on it. So, and it's single source, which means that the chances that was transferred by somebody else is very small. It's most likely was transferred there by somebody actually physically touching it. I know a lot of people have come up with all these theories on how touch DNA can transfer from one place to another. And the most common way is by actually touching an item. That's probably the most common way, especially if it's single source. Why? Because if it's transferred by a second person, you'll get a mixture. And the more times it's transferred from one place to another, the smaller the sample will become. And in this situation, it was so much that those that were going to testify, the scientists were going to testify to the fact that it was left there by a person actually touching it. And so you have DNA by somebody on an item that doesn't belong in the house. And why that is important is because, as I mentioned, so many people there the night before. That place is going to be reaming with DNA across the board. across the board. I mean, especially you have some young kids drinking, things of that nature. When kids get, start drinking and moving around, they start sweating. When you start kind of getting drunk, saliva and things come out when you're speaking and stuff. It's a natural occurrence. And so that place should be covered with DNA all over the place. So you look for the thing that the person brought in. And so it made it a huge, huge thing for this case. Now, does that mean that the person who touched it, is the person that committed the crime? Not necessarily, right? You got to look into it. So what do we know? We know that there's a white Elantra that's passing by. I know a lot of people say, oh, it could have been green. No, it couldn't have, because of the Ridgeway video is in color and it shows that it's white. Well, anyways, so you have a vehicle that's traveling around there multiple times. All right, this is a person who left the DNA there behind. Do they drive a similar vehicle? By golly, they do. And so you go, all right, well, I mean, there's so many of those cars in the area. What are the chances that he's going to be out at the exact same time? Right? I mean, it's 3:00 in the morning. He's probably asleep. Why don't you look at that? Not only was he awake, he was out and about. All right. Well, I mean, that's fine. That's fine. He's got his phone. This phone's going to tell us where he's at. And that's going to lead us to determine whether or not he committed this crime. Well, wait a minute. His phone was off during the exact time frame that the murders have happened. And what I mean by that is that it didn't turn on in the middle or shortly or so closely after, and that he was so far away that it was impossible for it to have been him there. No, it comes on 18 minutes after the murders happened. And he's only 10 minutes away from the place. Huh. Would you look at that? And I'm like, well, I mean, the guy obviously, must have, to have committed this crime, to gone through the building in the manner that he did, etc. He would have had to have looked it up, right? He would have had to have researched this place. Well, wouldn't you know? His phone puts him there within 100 meters 23 different times. Or was it like more than that? I think it came out to more than that afterwards. Well, what about searching it, Daniel? But wouldn't you know? He deleted a bunch of his search history, completely wiped it out, as if he was not using his computer, which is weird because he was a TA. It was his school computer that he was using for school, and that stuff's deleted too. All right, so it's just more than one thing, right? You got to go down the line, step by step by step. Yeah, you can look at one picture or one thing and come up with some random excuse for it. Like, oh, well, his phone, Daniel, was off because he ran out of service and, he decided to go out to the mountains. Well, wouldn't you look at that? His battery was full. He turned off the GPS, turned off the Wi-Fi, and then manually powered down the device. Wow. He took his own car, left the knife sheath, turned on his own phone. A lot of people argue saying if, he did so many things that were, how could he be so stupid? Right? They're like, he's not that dumb. He wouldn't have made those mistakes. And my response is like, why are you surprised he got caught if he was that stupid to make those many mistakes? You know what I mean? Just don't make sense. You know what I'm saying? Just don't make sense. So let's see. So this is the murderhasaname.com website. Hey, everybody. Good to see you. Good to see you. Hey, thank you. Thank you, L Dog, new to the channel. Hello, hello, hello. Yes, happy birthday to her. Hey, Sirius, good to see you here. Glad you can make it. Got Steelers fan in the building. Got Heather. Oh, Buffy's here too. Good to see you. I hope I didn't miss anybody. I'm kind of scrolling through here pretty quick. Good evening. Hope you guys are doing well. Let me know how y'all are doing tonight. It's kind of raining out here. Brittany, she's getting ready for the Spurs game. It's been kind of it's not been the greatest in San Antonio for the last couple of games. I think they would have had an opportunity. They had an opportunity to win the last game, and I think Wemby was just kind of off in the first two games or first game and a half. I think they can turn it around, but man, it's going to be real tough if they drop another one. This is a definitely a must win, in my opinion, for the San Antonio Spurs. Who do you guys have tonight? Who do you have tonight? Let's see. Let's go back here real quick. Justice shouldn't just depend on resources. We fund advanced forensic DNA testing in cases where resources fall short. By removing financial barriers, we ensure modern forensic science can identify perpetrators and advance accountability because murder has a name. Discover how forensic DNA can reveal answers once thought impossible. Those left behind, meet Kaylee. Kaylee was a vibrant, compassionate, and unforgettable person. She was more than a headline. She was a beloved daughter, sister, aunt, and friend whose strength, kindness, and light touched countless lives. Her story is not defined by tragedy alone, but by the love she gave and the lives she impacted and the legacy she continues to inspire this mission. This is a life beyond the name, a life that mattered deeply, a voice that will never be forgotten, a legacy that drives us to fight for answers and justice and lasting change. Our daughter has a name. Every victim and perpetrator does. This foundation exists to make sure neither remain unknown. Christine Stevens. I like that. Every perpetrator and every victim has a name, and this is so that does not remain unknown. I really like that quote. That's amazing. Kaylee Goncalves was the kind of person people were naturally drawn to. She had a way of making others feel comfortable almost instantly, like they belonged without having to try. Her laugh was loud, her energy was real, and her presence made even ordinary moments feel lighter. Raised in Rathdrum, Idaho, Kaylee grew up surrounded by her family and lifelong friends who meant everything to her. She carried that love into every part of her life, showing up for people in ways that felt effortless but meant everything. She was preparing to graduate from the University of Idaho with a job already waiting for her in Texas. She was excited, ready for what was next, and stepping into a chapter of life she had worked so hard for. She was a daughter, a sister, a best friend, and someone whose presence left a lasting mark on everyone who knew her. Kaylee was a light in every room she entered. She had a way of making people feel seen, loved, and safe just by being herself. Whether it was time with her family, laughing with her friends, or quiet moments that meant everything, Kaylee lived with warmth, kindness, and a heart that gave so much to others. She had dreams, plans, and a future she was building. She was a daughter, a friend, and a best friend to Maddie, and someone who brought comfort and joy to everyone lucky enough to know her. On November 13, 2022, Kaylee's life was taken in an act of violence that shook not only her loved ones, but an entire community. What happened was senseless. Loss left silence that can never truly be filled. Her story does not end there. It lives on in the love that surrounds her, in the memories carried by those who knew her, and the fight to make sure no family is left without answers. This foundation was created in her name to carry life forward and help bring answers, justice, and closure to families still waiting, because every life deserves to be known. Every story deserves to be told, and every name deserves to be remembered. Kaylee's life was deeply tied to people she loved. Her friendships weren't casual. They were constant, real, and built over the years of shared moments that didn't need to be documented to matter. Her bond with her best friend, Maddie, was one of those connections that just existed, steady, understood, and always there. She was part of people's everyday lives, The person you checked in with, laughed with, and relied without thinking twice. Kaylee made people feel comfortable being themselves. She listened, she paid attention, and she showed up in ways that felt natural but meant everything. That's what stays. That's the way she made people feel, and the space she still continues to hold in their lives. That's the impact this foundation carries forward. I feel so bad for her. Like, none of those kids deserved this, you know, some loser to just come in there and take their lives in this way. I'm sorry. Kaylee is remembered in the smallest moments, in the way a room feels when everyone is laughing a little louder, in the kind of energy that makes people feel at ease without knowing why. She had a way of bringing people together and making things feel lighter by just being there. She didn't need to try to be that person. She just was. Her friendships were real, steady, and full and kind of connection. Doesn't need to be explained. With her best friend Maddie, it was the kind of bond that just existed, constant, understood, and always there. People remember how easy it felt to be around her, how she listened, how she showed up, how she made them feel like they mattered. That's how she's remembered. Not in a single moment, but in all of them. Oh wow. A living tribute and a beautiful tribute to Kaylee. River Dahlias named a stunning new bloom the Kaylee Jade. With the support of the American Dahlia Society, the living legacy ensures her name continues to bloom year after year. A portion of the proceeds support Kaylee Jade Foundation and our mission to pursue justice and remembrance. That's a beautiful flower. I ain't gonna lie. Look at that. Kaylee was very happy. I didn't obviously know her or anything like that, but just watching, her videos, talking to her parents and seeing her parents talking about her and everybody that has talked about her, she did seem like the light of the light of the room, so to speak, and the life of the party. Um, one of the things that her family have pushed every day on this day is to go do something you enjoy, to go, you know, be with your family, do things you enjoy that would make you feel like a purpose and stuff. And in those moments, she's always wanted people to be happy, and that's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna be. We're gonna be happy, and she's resting. Justice. It may not have been, in the manner that maybe perhaps many of us wanted, but it was. There is justice. This guy is in jail for the rest of his life, and she can rest easy. You know what I mean? So, happy birthday, Kaylee. She should be 25 today. I'm sure everybody in the live chat is probably saying the same. Now, it's not, it's fitting that we share a birthday, and so to speak. You know what I mean? Kaylee, June 8th. Let me find this. Here it is. Videos. The very first video from the Drunk Turkey Show, June 8th, 2022. So we are 4 years old. I think I dropped this video about 7 o'clock. So I think it's going to be 4 years old in about 15 minutes. But man, how has the time gone by? You know what I mean? Let's in memory of Kaylee, let's talk about and let's do some things that we like. Let's look back at the last 4 years. I want to. You guys want to see this? It's gonna be kind of embarrassing, but let's. Did I already pull it up here? I did not. All right, let's pull this up. You're gonna see me without glasses, with prescription glasses. Here we go.
Every time you rip a slab pack, Arena Club makes you an
Oh,
instant.
no, I'm on the wrong one. Hold on, guys. I'm on the wrong account. I got to go to my other account. There we go. You know what? Let me start that over real quick. Watch your ears. I can hear her say no. Y'all want to know who that is? That is her. That's my. So when we came up with the show, right, the Drunk Turkey Show. Let me. This was the original logo. This was us 4 years ago. Now, so for those that don't know how we got our name, so we've been talking about this for a while. Like we had been talking about this for a minute. I came up with the name in Thanksgiving, and we didn't start the show until June. So just to kind of give you an idea, right? So just to kind of throw it all out, what happened, I wanted to do a podcast, but I didn't want to do it by myself. I wanted my friends because we always had such great conversations and things like that, right? And so I was like, man, let's do a podcast, guys. And they were kind of iffy on it. My buddy Hugo and Jonathan, they kind of didn't want to do it. Hugo, I think, wasn't even like back in the picture. I grew up with these guys. I've known Hugo since we were 8 years old. And so, well, anywho, Jonathan, and he really wasn't, like, he's kind of shy, and he didn't want to do it. So all of them didn't. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna do a football, podcast called State of the Steelers. I go out there, I do that. I end up getting picked up by SB Nation really quickly, and Behind the Steel Curtain. And then since then, I've now transitioned to Fans First Sports Network, FFSN. I'm still affiliated with them. I still cover the Steelers for FFSN as a podcaster and a podcast producer. Those are my titles. Check it out. Well, anyways, I work for FFSN. And I have a show a little bit later on today at around 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. on the East Coast on Steel Curtain Network. You can go check that out. Well, anyways, I started getting, moving up a little bit with the podcast on the Steelers stuff. So I talked the guys into it. But I came up with the name in November, and I was watching Rocky, and it was that scene where his trainer says, man, if you take one more punch, or if you take one more hit to the head, you're going to be punch drunk. And so, it was Thanksgiving, punch drunk. I was like, dude, we're going to be called the Punch Turkey Show, right? That was the name. And I was like, you know what? Let me go make sure there's nothing called the Punch Turkey Show. I didn't think there would be, but I found a show called Slapped Ham. I love them. Slapped Ham's awesome, by the way. I didn't know who they were until then. I've been hooked. They put out crazy videos of like ghosts and UFOs and things. It's an awesome show. And we wanted to do a podcast about those type of things. And I was like, man, it's too close. It's too close. So what did I decide? I was like, you know what? We're going to drop punched from the name, and we're just going to go with drunk turkey. And I drew this logo on my phone. And as you can see right here, I'm all pointing with my finger. I'm pointing with the mouse. Right here, he has a black eye. That's to pay homage to the original name. He was supposed to be Punched Turkey, and he's drunk. That's why he's making a chicken noise. Let me restart that. Hey everybody, welcome to the Drunk Turkey Show for the first episode. There's me. I look stupid. My name is Daniel Jade. These are my two homies, Big Blue and Jeemers, aka Jaime G. I hadn't called the Jaime Jeemers since like high school, so I was having a really hard time doing that. We're just three homies that have hung out together pretty much our entire lives and like to talk about conspiracies, movies, and current topics. We thought we'd put it on the show for you. And so I'm not gonna make you guys watch this. We talk about think it's about Richard. I'm not Richard Allen. What am I talking about? Bob Lazar. As you can see, I got more color in my face here than I did here. I think that's because we were drinking. Maybe it was the light. I don't know. But this is the very first one. I think this one is still up. This is probably one of the only ones that is still up. But then we had our very first live show. And this is it. I'm going to play the intro. I don't even think you guys know this intro. But this was it. This was us. This is the first live show we ever did.
Thanksgiving begins a very special time of the year for us. It's the time of peace and reflection and of getting ready for the new year. One thing we should all be thankful for is that we live in America, where we have the freedom to change things and the opportunity to grow.
It's the Drunk Turkey Show, mother truckers!
I got wasted last night, okay?
Are you drinking? Don't do this in front of my friends. I heard the news of Lady Gaga playing party thing. I hate it. I hate it in every aspect of the world. I ain't gonna lie.
Come on, maybe we should do a singing thing where she starts like somebody throws up fat juice on. Dude, I always remember one concert I saw that she did in Austin. That she would have somebody drink some black liquid, and literally she would stand under the person, and she would and the other person would throw up on her while she was in her concert. Yeah,
I saw
this. It was on one of the concerts.
Personally, that's like the one time I went hunting and they're like, "Did you kill anything?" And I was like, "A 6-pack." God, he got old, man. Did you see how old he looked?
I haven't seen that.
Gosh, man, he looked like Joe Biden's nephew, man.
I don't know. I lost all respect for Ben after
That was a while ago.
Yeah.
You can hear me, Blue?
Nah, maybe it's my phone.
I was gonna say, he's like, do you hear me better? He's like, he's all like.
I don't know. Maybe I need to bring back the old intro. Dude, so that was so Jaime goes, that's one hell of a final thought. Blue had this weird tendency of not saying a lot throughout the show. And then we're like, all right, any final words? And then he'd come in with the most wildest story. Whether somebody got into a huge fight and knives were drawn and all this other stuff. And I'm like, Blue, why do we wait for the final thought for that? And then he's like, the one, can you hear me? That was hilarious. We're like, hey, Blue, you can hear me? Yeah. Can you? Nah. There was so much stuff. Gosh, man, bringing back memories. That was the original. What is this? Oh, this is our international show that we did with my buddy Marky D. Let me see. This is our first guest from across the pond. Here we are.
Mate, you're giving away my cover. I'm meant to be incognito, mate. You know, I'm telling you, this ain't going to be Steel Nation Australia, man, where I'm going down. You ain't getting that. You're getting the real deal today. So separate. If you don't like what I'm going to talk about, separate those two. I love my team, but today we are going down the rabbit hole because, down under, I don't think we are down under.
So that was our first international guest, Marky D from Steel Nation Australia. Good time, man. Oh, this one's hilarious. I need to turn this up. I didn't realize this until I was looking up something for us to listen to. Now, this is a comedian local here to San Antonio. I think he called himself the Chancla Academy. Yeah, it's some interesting stories, but y'all hear what I hear on this? Watch this. So a little backstory. I asked him where he's at, and he was having some problems with his microphone, and he's in his car and he has his phone near his knee, and then I don't know if he fixed it or if he unplugged it, but I just heard this. It might have been Blue, but I think it was Chancla Academy because of where his phone is. But You guys hear this?
Okay. I'm coming to you live from a Spirit Halloween.
Okay. Nice. Man, it's that time of year.
Yeah, my wife's like, we got to get out there. I just finished doing a meet and greet, and then I had to like rush to my house, and then from my house, I'm over here all the way on Bassey Road. Like we're on the other side of town.
Oh, nice. Did you get a costume already for the Halloween season?
Yes, I'm going to be Hopper.
You know what? It may not have been what I thought it was. I heard a weird. I swear, I think he farted. I'm not. But now that I listened back to it, I think he just made a weird noise with his voice. Let's see. We're at 429. Let me go back to 421. Nice. Did you get a costume already for the Halloween season?
Yes, I'm going to be Hopper from Stranger Things, and my kids are going to be all the kids from Stranger Things.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
That's
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Last year, me and my wife were, I believe we were Cheech and Chong. It was pretty fun.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, that is true. We did go as Cheech and Chong one time. We had so we had the oh gosh, what is it? We had the some fog machine coming out from behind us. It was I thought it was pretty funny. Good times. In fact, I think that one image of me with the beard in the intro is actually, let's see, I'm going to mute it because I don't want to listen to it again. It's really loud, but let's see if I can pause it at the right time. Maybe not. I don't remember what was that, but there's a part in the original intro where I'm standing there and I got a bandana on and a beard and long hair. That was I think I was Chong.
And they're like, did you kill anything? And I was like, a 6-pack.
Is it right here?
Guys,
No.
He got old, man. Did you see how old he was?
No. It's further back.
A drink. Maybe I should do.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to watch this and find it here in a second. I'm gonna have to. This is gonna bother me. It's like a brief moment. I feel like I was Jeremy Corbell, like inserting. There it is. All right. It was like at 28 seconds. That's as fast as you're going to be able to get it, guys. Oh, I went too far back. Can't get it on time. Oh well, but that's it. That's me dressed as Chong. I think this is Blue dressed as Bob the burger guy. I think I don't quite remember. This was a few years back, guys. This was a few years ago. But that was my outfit that day. What is this? Oh yeah, this is it. Oh, man, did we already go through all of them? So these are the videos. June 8th is when we started. Man, good times. Let's see. Let's go through the live. Now, some of these aren't. I've taken some down, just because we had so many. Let's see. We had a singer here, Chocolate Academy. What is this one? There's our intro. How would you guys feel about having some kangaroo beer?
Made with real kangaroo? Maybe.
I don't know, man. We tried. Man, this is like, oh, you know what? It's because we were pre-gaming before this one. I remember. Man, look at Blue. Look at how debonair he looks that night. That was a costume. That was me dressed as Chong. That was awesome. Awesome time. I think we'll get into a point where we'll see our man, but those drink off videos were funny, man, because we would get kind of drunk. So we had this one thing where we're like, it was a saying, once you pop, you can't stop. I don't remember what it was. If once you pop the top, you got to drink it all, something of that nature. And so basically meaning whether you liked it or not, if you opened it, you had to drink it. And sometimes we had some bigger beers. We probably should have like dumbed it down a little bit, as far as how much of the alcohol, because we got pretty toasted. Oh, this one was a good one. This one got limited because of how it was not the cleanest of
Thanksgiving begins a very special
as the or also one award
lawsuit to get a bunch of money from Johnny Depp for stealing his persona.
It's fucking awesome.
So Ray, I found you on TikTok as Juani Depp. Now, I guess, well, I'll let you explain it to everyone. What is the inspiration behind Juani Depp, and where did you come up with the character?
So Johnny Depp, which is spelled DEBT, but us Mexicans, we can't pronounce the word debt. We say debt because we see a B there, we're gonna fucking pronounce it. So we say debt. I got a lot of debt, way. I got a lot of debt, way. I gotta pay it.
So this is another a comedian that we had. He is actually, I think, in South Texas. He has this persona where he dresses up like Johnny Depp, calls himself Juani Depp, and it is hilarious. This one was a funny one. Man, I wish I had some of the things lined up, but it was this one was definitely for the adults that night. We got kind of drunk, and at the time, I don't think we were monetized, so we didn't really know about the whole you can't say any bad words type of thing. You know what I mean? We were just starting out. Oh yeah, we had a discount code for a local pizza place here in San Antonio. That was pretty cool too.
The Gremlin, 322 South 16th Street on McAllen, right behind Cine El Rey. Right behind Cine El Rey. Yeah. It's like it was like 100-year-old house that got converted into an art gallery, and then my friend turned it into a restaurant and bar and venue. It's fucking cool, man.
So yeah, this was back in the day, guys. And then let's go to when we started to actually get some views. As you can see, 90, 70, 94. We had 239 on Juani Depp. 101. I ended up getting a guy coming on who he had, what was it called? Let me look it up real quick. Code 1028, and he created this liquor and alcohol line, and we ended up getting some of that. But this is when we started actually getting into true crime. This is when the shift switched. We had and this one was also limited ad suitability. Didn't want we talked too dirty on it. It was another drinking beer, Bigfoot Get Squatchy. And then we did Richard Allen, Connection to Keegan Kline. This was November 7, 2022. Richard Allen had just gotten arrested in October, like a week or so before the end of October, I want to say. And so this was our very first true crime. I remember in the live chat, I'll pull it up. We really didn't know anything about this. We were looking at the
Thanksgiving begins at
what we were looking at was the probable cause affidavit. And let's see, I brought up maps for the first time, as you can see.
Signal itself, they give you a radius of about 2 miles.
Right. And so you're actually right. Absolutely right. So this is where I believe Ronald Logan lives right here. When you look up his address, it populates here, which is kind of odd. But we had really no idea much about this case. We were just kind of winging it to a certain extent. And then that's when we're like, we got a lot of people like, man, you guys are actually, pretty good at this true crime stuff. And that's kind of where we decided to, our background is a spaceship, Big Blue hat. He's getting beamed up. Ivan has Funko Pops behind him. I'm in a in a spacesuit. We were not prepared for true crime yet. But that was our first big show. I remember when we were in the live show, there was 300 people in there. And Jaime messages me, he's like, is there 300 people in here? And I said, yeah, dude, there is. And I think we ended up getting like 600 or so. And then it just kept going up. It was great. And then the Idaho case occurred. So the first live on that, I had taken some down just because it wasn't like correct information, but we'd started going live probably almost immediately. But some of them have been taken down. Like I said, the not all of them were like correct. And so some of the stuff that we got not correct, even this one, like, look, Idaho Ford don't look good for Jack. This is before he was, I don't know why it says December 20th. This was like, oh, that's the day that I privated it. December 20th, 2022 is when I last updated it. I privated it because, well, what happened December 19th? or December 20th. I think that's the day that we all found out that Brian Koberger got arrested. And so 150,000 views, private it. 90,000 views, private it. It wasn't about views for me. It's about being right. You know what I mean? I'm not going to have things out there that was inaccurate, and at that time I was just going off of things that were out there, like, like this one that I privated with 90,000 views. I think this is the one where I was trying to figure out who who Hunter Johnson was. And I kind of pointed it out. Again, I went back, privated these. I mean, you can see the days that I did this. The days that that you changed some things. But yeah. And then like this one, what did Brian Koberger do? 72,000. Brian Koberger. See, these I kept 244,000. I think that's probably my most viewed video right there. 200, almost a 250,000 views on this one video. Man. But that stuff was, somewhat correct. And the things that I kept correct were the things that stayed public. If it wasn't, I'm not the type of person that was going to, what's the word I'm looking for? Stick onto something just because I said it. You know what I mean? Once the evidence comes in, especially early on in cases, I'm really like, I don't know, there's a lot of avenues you can go. I don't usually make like a straight faced, all right, this person did it or that person did it, I think, without having a lot of the information and the evidence there in front of me. You know what I mean? And so with Brian Koberger, it just got to that point. A lot of people say that I was the one who, like, not necessarily I was the one, but a lot of people, my opinion initially when Brian Koberger was arrested was that the probable cause affidavit was weak. And I questioned, I questioned some of the work done by Moscow PD. And I think I was right to be concerned given everything that we've known. I looked at the PCA and I thought to myself, I was like, man, this really screams out that this is a guy that this was written. That this was like a continually written document that was happening in the moment, in each of those moments, meaning that somebody was going to somebody was going in and adding to a document as things progressed, and then really didn't do a good job of going back and removing, maybe not removing, but not didn't really do a good job of going back and cleaning it up, and that concerned me a little bit. And you some of the stuff that's come out, not necessarily that I think Brian Koberger would have been found innocent or anything like that, but I mean, there are some concerns with the Bill Thompson. I don't think he would have been the greatest, uh, to explain the evidence. To me, I think the evidence is clear and I think it's obvious. But I do think that I was concerned about the presentation of the evidence by the person that was going to present it. If presented correctly, I thought it was an obvious case. My concern was it going to get presented correctly? Some of the things that Bill Thompson was arguing about and saying just didn't just seemed weird, needless to say. And then he got to the point where it seemed like he was not he was keeping some of the family, from my opinion, from what I've heard. It seemed like um not everything was coming out, not everybody had all the information, which made it easier for them to take the plea deal and have all the family members on board with that. Had the family members, including probably Steve and his family as well, known the severity of some of the injuries, because I don't think they really did. I think they made, the Gonzalez family made a statement not too long ago stating that they were surprised by some of the findings, as far as that it was released with no warning, etc. So the way they've been treated is just like they've been treated really bad. That's not how you treat family members. This would be equivalent to, in my opinion, I mean, this is just bad. There's nothing else to compare it to. You want to prepare a family members for some of the shock and stuff that's going to come out, whether it's the pictures, whether it's the autopsy documents, etc. You gotta be better. You gotta do better by the families, in my opinion. And so I'm glad that that in the end it turned out that he pled guilty, and that there was an answer for it. I know that for the family members, they wanted this to go to trial, and they wanted him to be on death row and stuff. I get that too. I would have wanted whatever the family members would have wanted, right? Because they're the ones that are hurting the most. They're the ones who lost their family member. It's not my family member that got lost in this senseless act. So, whatever they wanted, but just trying to be like objective in it. I think that if this was tried by somebody else other than Bill Thompson and some of his teammates, not all of them, but some, I think we would have. I think it would have been good to go to trial. I don't think they would have had a leg to stand on, but I just didn't really trust Bill Thompson, to be honest with you. I think that's more what it is trust. I don't trust Bill Thompson. Steelers fan comes in with one gifted Drunk Turkey Show membership. Thank you. One big on run-on sentence. Yeah, he couldn't. And so, I just hope everything works out for the Gonzalez family and their foundation. And I hope it gets some answers into some of these unsolved cases too. But this was fun, guys, looking back also, on the Drunk Turkey Show. I really enjoyed that. I was looking at this image here. I was like, man, maybe I need to bring back the beard, but no, I don't think so. That's funny. Well, guys, let's do a couple of minutes of some Q&A. Let's do some Q&A with you guys. What do you guys got? I appreciate that, Sirius. Thank you. Yeah, I always tried. At the end of the day, it's one of those situations where, You know, I can't, there's no way we can be right? And you can't hold people to their opinions of whether or not they're, you know, to the accuracy of their opinions when they don't have all the information. That's not fair. That's not right. Now, what you can do is when presented with the facts and the person continues to deny certain things just so that they're not wrong. Because there's a difference between what I was doing by not wanting to be wrong and then what some others do by not wanting to be wrong. Me, I change with the evidence. I follow it. I want to be accurate. I want to be correct. With whatever way the evidence points, with whatever way however it goes, I want to be correct. You know, I don't want to I don't want to be wrong in that sense. And then you have some other folks who can't ever be wrong because there's a difference. I can be wrong. Like I understand I can be wrong. I just want to correct myself so that I can be correct. Some folks they can never be wrong, meaning that, you know, if they said, you know, the sky's green and you have all this evidence and visual stuff and say, oh, you know what, tomorrow when the sun rises, we'll see what color the sky is and it comes out being blue. Then, you know, they don't want to see it. They don't want to see the evidence. They don't care. They argue, they name call, insult, things of that nature. And there you are. Know what I mean? And so that's the difference. And yeah, you know, I initially thought, you know, the first week or so, when it came to the Idaho case, that it was probably going to be somebody close to them, and that it was, you know, the mayor had mentioned something about a love thing. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, let's go with whatever they said. But then I said really quick, I was like, you know what? If this goes longer than a couple of weeks, I don't know about that. You know, there should be evidence there. And it shouldn't take more than a couple of weeks. After a couple of weeks, I was immediately off Jack Decor and, you know, the frat guys and all these other people. Just solely because as information started to come out and things like that, it just didn't jive with that. And also because the fact that they weren't caught by somebody, you know, somebody that lived that close, you know, we didn't know there was a white car driving around at the time. But I was like, man, there's cameras. We saw cameras when we were doing the Google Earth stuff and looking around. You would assume that somebody would have picked up on this. You know what I mean? But hey, you can't be right with everything. But you can be wrong and stay wrong. And that's the dangerous part. It's those that continue to be wrong and fight tooth and nail regardless. Go look at my Facebook messages. Oh gosh. All right. If that's what you want, I'm going to leave you guys with one last thing. I can't zoom in on it. I mean, my computer's taking forever to download it. I think it's finally going to download. All right. Okay, man, this is taking forever. I apologize. Maybe something's trying to stop the there it is. All righty, guys. You want to see something funny? Oh, the Steelers fan and Daniel here. That's Cheech and Chong. That was a few years back. That was natural hair. Don't let it. Haters are going to say that was a wig. Haters are going to say that's a wig. That's not. That was natural hair, natural ability. Don't let anybody say otherwise. Haters are gonna say it's a wig. Don't be a hater. All righty, guys. I'll be back tomorrow night. We'll be going back into the true crime. Don't forget, y'all. If y'all want to see more Steelers fan, go to Married to the Hobby. Right here, I can hear Brittany. I think she's trying to make some more noises for the next intro out there. But go to Married to the Hobby. Go watch this video. Give it a like. I would truly appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys. There's other videos there that we've done together on Married to the Hobby, me and Brittany. We have some shorts and things of that nature that are on there. So please go and check that out. I'll be back tomorrow night, probably around 8:30 p.m. You don't want to miss it. I'm not sure what I'm going to be talking about. Probably something breaking. So see you guys then. Until then, peace out, y'all.